we thought it might be a good idea and quite good fun to make a suggestion of 10 creative things you can do in your classroom to impact upon standards. And these can be low cost, no cost options. By the time I'd finished thinking about it, I actually came up with 20 things you could do with your classrooms, perhaps to improve engagement, literacy, etc. So 20 things you could do with your classroom. Create space for collaboration. For those of you who are old as me and go back to the thoughts of social constructivism, learning is generated through collaboration. Make sure there's some quality space for collaboration, whether you use traffic cones and some tape to zone it, or whether you put a line of tables down the middle and say on the left is collaboration, on the right is individual learning. Whichever way you want to do it, you can align your curriculum with your classroom, with your learning expectations. Of course, you can also create creative spaces with the same zoning technique, a length of hazard tape, some traffic cones. You can create spaces in your class where learners can focus purely on creation. Writable spaces, number 3. Get some old whiteboard material, chop it down, put it on top of your table. Children love writing on stuff. Make sure it's wipeable, of course. You can do the same on the walls. It has a huge impact on engagement with writing, which of course then impacts on speaking and listening and reading. So generating those writable spaces on walls and tables, wonderful idea. 4, reduce your teacher footprint. You can either get your desk out of the class, or you can tape off an area where only you are allowed in. So your teacher zone is very small. So everybody knows for that day, you're limited to your zone. And perhaps that will really stimulate the sort of interaction you want. You can have an old tech area where it's reading, writing based on paper. You can have a new tech area, which is number 6, whereby people are only using technology. You can have quiet spaces. These are actually easy to generate. It can be as simple as a beanbag by the whiteboard or a beanbag close to a bookshelf. Try zoning your classroom with natural light and artificial light. And for fun, just see what happens if people work for an hour with the artificial lights off, just in natural light if it's strong enough. It should be particularly stimulating for the boys and hence particularly useful in the afternoon. So that's number 8. Number 9, create some 1-to-2 and some 2-to-1 spaces in your class where it's just you and 1 or 2 children. 10, have a peer-led zone where children know that in that area they lead the activities. 11, if you've got any, buy some artificial turf. If it's cheap, roll it out in the classroom, and if you can swipe a picnic table from outside, if you've got one for the day, pop it on the artificial turf, bring the outside inside. It's called biophilia, and it can really help certain projects within the curriculum align with what's going on in the classroom. Again, you can try some flexible seating, making it more student-centric. If you've got a bit of a budget, you can get some modular furniture that mix it up and allows students to vary their seating arrangements. 13, of course, you can ask students via SurveyMonkey or a brief questionnaire, what is there in your learning area that helps you, and what is there in that learning area that gets in the way? I think you'll be fascinated by their responses. It always fascinated me. 14, clear your walls. You'd be amazed how when I was an inspector, you could walk into classrooms and there was so much clutter on the walls that as a learner, you would simply be put off straight away. Don't be afraid to subtract what stuff there is on the walls and what clutter is in the classroom. Put it in the boot of your car and see if you ever bring it back, and I bet you don't. 15, play with the furniture. You could have, if you've got your desks in your class, you can have a row, a couple of clusters and a boardroom, and give some choice and agency to your learners to pick and choose with regards to the tasks you're setting. 16, again, no cost, low cost. Ask the caretaker or do it yourself. Cut down the legs of some of your tables, create coffee tables and some floor space, and children sitting on the floor working at the coffee tables. A lovely little inflection of informality in your classroom. The quiet spaces, number 17, we've mentioned these can be as simple as a beanbag or on the floor in the corner. If you want to bump up that quiet space, you can of course add some dividers. 18, narrow your colour palette. Some rooms are so bright that they will put learners off straight away, and learners who are at the higher arousal end of the spectrum will not engage with their learning because they will be too agitated by what's going on. So narrow it down. Think of 3 colours and try and stick to those. 19, don't forget to use the hallway. The hallway is actually a really cool place to learn. You can easily pop a couple of tables out there for a bit of quiet study, rather than use them punitively, as many teachers do, right? Get out in the hall, you're being monitored by the by the TA, don't want you in my class, flip that. Pop them out there if there's something quiet or something creative to be done. Or some writable spaces on those white down tables you might be able to pop out there. And number 20, last but not least, introduce some biophilia. I referenced it earlier on in terms of the natural light and so on you can bring into your class, but it's a way of bringing the outside inside. It can be plants, leaves, sunlight, whatever you find outside that you can bring inside in a safe and reasonable manner, it is fair game to do so. The easiest way, as I said earlier on, is a picnic table or a couple of picnic tables and some artificial grass. You would be amazed at the impact that kind of thinking can have on engagement with learning. So those are my 20 low-cost, no-cost things you can do to begin to begin thinking about transforming the learning environment. It's as simple in some cases as a change of mindset, and in so doing, you align the curriculum with your teaching, with your learning, and with the classroom environment. And in case you think that these transformative experiments have to cost millions, my very first one 6 or 7 years ago was done with a large roll of hazard tape and some traffic cones, and I simply zoned the class into a collaborative area, a one-to-one study area, and a peer study area with a teacher, and gave children some agency, some options. Once I'd done the introduction, the bulk of the teacher-directed learning I wanted to do, I then let people execute by themselves. No coincidences that the progress measures were significantly improved on what they were the year before. So this is Dr. England signing off, wishing you the very best for the week ahead. Don't forget to try at least one of those 20 ways to transform your learning environment. Bye for now.